Welcome back to the Gaming on the Brain podcast. I'm Mark, and as always, I'm joined by Glenn and Jamie. Before we go into anything, I just want to give a quick shout out to a fellow YouTuber, Gaz Ren. Name will be in description and a link to his channel. Go and check out his Let's Plays, give him a sub, and while you're there, subscribe to us too if you haven't already, because I really want to hit that all-important 500 subscriber milestone. So don't delay, hit us to subscribe, please.
100%.
Thank you very much.
Now, in today's episode, we're going to be taking a trip around the world to look at different gaming cultures. One little twist that we need to mention though, we're not going to be just hitting some random countries here. We're actually going to hit the 8 original countries from the original Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior. So you can expect the USA, Japan, Russia, Spain, China,
India,
to name a few, or most of them
And
anyway.
a few weird ones just to mix it up.
Yes, exactly. So we've got plenty to cover. Let's not waste time. Stick around. We'll be right back after the intro.
Let's go!
You go gaming on the brain.
Ain't getting any prettier.
USA.
I think it feels rather fitting that we should start with USA, guys, because they did practically invent the modern video game industry.
Yes, aye. Some people think it was Japan, but no, that's not true.
Well, the first recognised video game was Space War. And that was it was PDP?
PDP, yeah.
Or a PDP one. Yeah,
PDP-1.
it created at MIT.
Yeah.
And this was all the way back in 1962.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going back some ways. I mean, you were alive roughly then, weren't you?
Many years before that.
I think we discussed that I'm the oldest, so it could have been me.
The thing about that game as well is, though, it wasn't made, it wasn't developed as in, like, you know, somebody sat down and got a design document and says, right, we're going to make this game, we're going to call it Space War. They're just messing about, and they're just like, we'll just make a game.
Just coding.
That's how it happened, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Just coding, just
well,
coding, messing
MIT,
about.
that's what it was
And
all about, wasn't it?
They made one of the most memorable games there is. I mean, it's not as well known as like stuff like Space Invaders maybe, and Frogger and whatnot. The Asteroids, those early well-known Atari shoot-em-ups and Taito and that, you know, or Taito if you say it that way. But it's a landmark, isn't it, though? That particular game, yeah.
It was never sold commercially. You're right in what you're saying. It was literally
But
just
there was an
geeks.
arcade cabinet many years later, 77.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was, and that was, well, since it came out after Star Trek, one of the ships has made it look like the Enterprise.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it literally was just geeks showing off at universities, but it kickstarted the idea of gaming as tech entertainment.
Well, it's mental, really, if you think about where we are today.
Well, we've got them to thank for it, mate, basically. I suppose saying that if they hadn't done it, somebody else would have, surely a couple of years later, but no, thanks to them. The US literally invented video gaming. So
Did you know as well, though, I'll try and not just keep talking about Space War, but those very early games was actually stuff that came out before that, but was never really, it would get scrapped straight away. They'd mess about with it for hours and scrap it. That's what they would do. They're seeing it as novelty. They're seeing it as just novelty.
It's probably a
they never
project.
even looked at it as a commercial.
No one will have
idea,
forecasted the idea that it could be such a big industry as it is now back then, you know?
But it could have just been a project for them at MIT. So,
It was,
like a university project, something like that.
Following on with firsts, okay, Pong was also the first arcade hit
We've all played that,
in
right?
the USA. Yeah. It launched in 1972. The test unit apparently broke down in a California bar because it was being used much.
Yeah, there's an analogy with another game in a different country later as well that did the same thing with the Yen, wasn't it? So,
I remember having it at home.
I'm sure you'll get that right.
You had Pong, but then you had hockey.
Yeah,
which was really just more paddles.
It was addictive. Do you know this? All like
was.
simple at times, and sometimes it's easy enough to just say, "Look, this is just."
Do you know why it was addictive? Because it was competitive, especially at home.
Sure.
You were playing against your brother,
Yeah,
and you wanted to win. you wanted to score a goal. Is it any different to FIFA today?
If Glenn ever came at me and wanted a game of Pong, I'd probably get something.
Do you know what it is? Honestly, for me, it's any game that's got couch multiplayer. So I'm going back along, and we're going back again like Space War, Pong. You know,
it isn't.
There's 2-player games like Asteroids out there where you look at Computer Space is 1 player only. Didn't use that one.
But isn't that nuts? So I haven't really rehearsed this or talked about it, but we're already talking about multiplayer on something that was invented
from the 60s,
that long ago, and we're all thinking about how it makes us all interact.
Yeah. No.
Well, here's another one. The continuing on the trend of firsts, the US also created a first home console, the Magnavox Odyssey, once again in 1972. It was the one with the translucent screens, overlays on it. Because it was basically Pong games, dots and lines and stuff like that.
There was even a gun game at one point, and it would just use, again, you had to line it up with a light on the screen, and it would have there was no actual characters or proper sprites or that. You just have an overlay with rabbits or aliens or whatever, and you had to shoot where the light would pop up, and it was
interesting. Did you think it was expensive back in its day? Or a novelty? I'm not sure.
I haven't got the price of it here, but I imagine it will have been expensive at the time.
I bought, again, without delving too deep, from what I've looked in the past, and I mean not the recent past, they were never unaffordable. They might not have been exactly cheap, but they were a big Christmas present. There's your Christmas present, Timmy, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like 3DO or Neo Geo, you know. They were, it was maybe like, if it was, say, $200 at that time, which was still being crazy expensive in 1972, 72. It would still be very expensive, but not like $600 expensive in 95. You know what I mean?
I think, again, you go back to it. If you unwrap that at Christmas, your dad had bought it, you'd be super hyped for that. But also your whole family would sit and play that with you. And you I'll go back to that multiplayer. Like, look at this.
We never had a Magnavox, but I don't know if that did very well over here, though, because I don't know anyone automatically who had that.
But grandstand and things like that, but not like the...
Oh, you mean the Arcadia? It's got a different name. It's called the Arcadia by some, I think, but it's got different... I know what you're talking about, the system, though.
But,
Fairchild, possibly.
Yes, Fairchild, you're right, yeah. The one of the other significant things that happened in America was the 1983 video game crash.
Yeah, you know why that happened, didn't you? It's just overkill with all these different content.
Rubbish.
The sad thing is, Mark, and I mean, look, right, and I say this on camera if anyone's actually watching or listening, but E.T., right, which you've got on there, isn't that bad of a game. It was... I'm not going to say it was ahead of its time because I will get laughed out of the room, but it was too different to what people were expecting at the time. But people have played it like more recent times and says there is a game there that's got a lot. It's got a system to it if you understand it. People just didn't, you know. So.
I wonder if it's one of those legends that actually I've never played it. I've never even looked. And perhaps I hear the legend of it was buried in Mexico.
And that legend turned out to be true, didn't it? You know, it's amazing.
It might not be that bad.
But to get that one game in Pac-Man as well, the Atari version of Pac-Man, get blamed for that. And it's like, well, I think it's very hard to blame it on maybe one or two games. It was oversaturation of multiple different consoles coming out at the time where it just was. I mean, we didn't suffer from that. We didn't get that, you know.
It was American. That's kind of never changed because you go back to the SNES Mega Drive days, any film franchise that came out had a game.
Yeah, and it was generally garbage.
And it was generally rubbish.
Side-scrolling platformer, always the same, and that wasn't just ocean stuff, and that was the NES and the net. Usually a lot of NES stuff.
Has things changed that much?
So really, Atari killed the video game industry, but Nintendo saved it. And do you know how they saved it? They stopped using the word game. They called it entertainment.
Entertainment.
I mean, such a small change to the way you market something.
I think what they were trying to do, you know, they wanted to go out the way.
Quality seal as well.
Well, there was that, but I think they wanted to go out the way to have a console that would still appeal to the parents because the parents would go, we'll now play it together because it's no longer just games, it's entertainment. Where we could get away with because we had computers, so you could just cheat your parents again. It's all right, Mum, it's all right, Dad, I'm just doing some of my homework upstairs when you're playing, you know.
Hiding the power light behind like a
we perfected that.
You don't think that Nintendo have always had that skill, though? You know, you have the Wii that come out, it was meant to be for families. The Switch now,
Nintendo's family oriented.
They want you all to play together in the front room, and the entertainment system in its name was Mum, Dad, we'll all have a go.
They've managed to keep their focus on, and I do admire that with Nintendo. I mean, the Mortal Kombat thing will keep for another day, but you know, other than that, I think they've generally stuck to the guns throughout the generations.
They have,
It's
yeah.
quite good,
There's
you know?
been a few wobbles here and there, like
Yes,
Wii U
yeah.
and stuff.
I think, you know,
We're going into Japan here already.
even when I was young, you know, I had a ZX Spectrum, so I would sit in my room and I'd play Championship Manager.
Yeah.
Or Player Manager, actually, to correct myself.
because Amiga was champ man.
My mum would just think, Jamie's upstairs playing computer.
Aye.
And it was a singular thing. And Nintendo have the skill of other parents, even now, will say, my son's upstairs playing PlayStation.
Yeah,
Aye.
Let's get back on point
Yep.
here. So another thing that was big for the US, Doom, 1993.
Oh,
Doom pretty much revolutionised multiplayer.
Yeah, it
and
did. Oh,
PC gaming as well.
When did Quake come out? Because I was
year
Quake was before Doom.
5, I think, wasn't it?
was not as late as 97.
Actually, it might.
I played Quake before I played Doom.
Well, Quake was definitely a newer game, though. Definitely a newer game, Quake.
I
Because I
enjoyed
remember
that.
people considering Quake being the true sequel. They obviously it wasn't.
Yeah,
It's
it
its
was a
own
different
franchise,
series
you know?
of its own, yeah.
But Doom, I mean, I think what it was and all, you know, if you just take the PC for a second, because the PC was big in America, I would say the PC as a gaming machine in the 80s was bigger there than here.
Yeah.
But it still was quite weak back in the 80s and up to about, funny enough, that when Doom came out.
When you talk about those kind of games, though, I mean, Duke Nukem springs to my mind.
Well, I was going to mention now, any of those classic side scrollers or the Duke Nukem, the early Duke Nukem stuff, you know, where he was just a massive, his head was enormous. I remember his head being enormous, you know, and that was Duke Nukem before he went Duke Nukem 3D and Hammer and Harry and things like that, you know. Hammer and Harry, have I got that right? Halloween Harry. Halloween Harry, aye. And there was a few others. There was that Tyrion.
Alien Carnage.
Aye, Tyrion. There was some classic, great. But if you look at, and especially say some of the American arcade conversions on PC back in the late 80s and 90s were atrocious, like Double Dragon and that.
Oh, it was bad.
You know, look, just because there was still, some of these were still 16 colour games, you know, they'd moved beyond CGA, but they still look absolutely abysmal. When, I mean, at least the Amiga and that and the ST, like European ports usually, you know, they look halfway there, you know, they look quite good. So I think the PC definitely hit its stride
with Doom.
Its stride about Doom.
It's good.
Definitely.
Doom was
Plus,
the
it looked great though and all, and
absolutely.
that would have scared the shit out of you back in the day, you know, like having having Pinky coming towards you and that, you know.
So essentially, the US shaped the FPS genre.
Definitely,
So
aye.
again, it's something that we can all be thankful to America for.
Do you know what it is? I would say
I like America, but you know, it's like.
Do you know what it is and all? Is it not because as well? I mean, everybody's got their famous Japanese franchise. Sorry, I'm not going to move into Japan. Everyone's got their favorite Japanese franchise that you've grew up with, but as you've got a bit older and America started to become more prevalent, especially with things like Doom for the other year. Yeah.
I know the Japanese one.
Yeah,
They were marketed as almost an American.
Well, Sega had their American
one
divisions and all, didn't
division,
they? So, you know, stuff like Eternal Champions was American development, you know.
The Dreamcast. Funny enough, the shirt you're wearing today, Jamie, it pioneered online gaming in the US on the Dreamcast.
Oh yeah,
it was the first console.
You could have chat. Yeah, there was chat rooms on that. I mean, you know. I said,
Looking for female gamers and stuff.
I like how you've got the first gaming magazine. That's
First gaming magazine.
That's brilliant. I like that fact because you've been to my house and I have an eclectic collection of magazines, including
EGM.
Yeah, and I still read them today. They are.
Do you know what it is, Jamie?
And it's great.
I went through. Do you know what got me into EGM? Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
I picked up a 1998 issue to look at Twisted Metal 3, so then I started. It's when I got the magazine, I was like, fucking hell, feel the weight. It was like, whoa, this thing's about a full inch thick. So, you know, you would get, they were importing them into the country. It was a little off license, a little newsagent, from mine. And they were like, you were paying like still £3, like you'd pay for CVG or PlayStation Power, whatever. But this thing was 3 times the width.
Yeah.
And then you could
read
read
like
for like 3 or 4 days. I'd say,
I just,
like I say, feel the value, you know.
I miss magazines a lot because that was the way I knew whether to buy a game or not.
I think it's again, a lot of it's down to that physical side, which I personally like, you know. So again, it's like having a manual in a game. And
we looked at mine, so I reminded me. Do you remember, like, say, the pages at the back where you could look in it and see how much something would cost me on import?
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't get a game on day release. You'd have to get it by importing it and using a converter.
And you pay double the price as well.
So many people wanted to play the game because they had read it in a magazine, and you forget how easy it is now to read a review, and you probably read 4 reviews to decide whether you buy something. In my day, I had to buy something.
Reviews,
So if they, you know, if America was the place that started, then I thank them for that because that's very much part of my life. Going to the shop, or even not subscribing, even though you can subscribe to us. But
Subscribe to
anyone.
but you'd go in and you'd have a subscription, and they'd have it behind the counter for you.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you go and pick it up every week.
No.
So I think we should all
exciting
just
times.
say thank you, America, on those things that
I
we've
agree.
mentioned, and many more.
Yeah.
A few quick statistics as well, because I don't want to be completely fact heavy. 201 million gamers in the US. That's quite a big number.
a big number, yeah.
And on top of that, it's actually
That's
probably
well
one of the
balanced,
most
aye?
probably one of the
I
most
didn't
balanced
know.
genders as well.
I didn't realise it was
Only
that
speaking
balanced.
about male and female here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So women actually represent 48% of that statistic.
That has definitely shifted. I mean, I didn't know, and I've never checked, but I thought it might have been near a 70-30. So, and that's still not bad, I think, in my opinion. But it does show that at least the demographics shifted a bit to allow everyone to be happy and to have fun. So,
Without being...
it was never like that in the 80s, 90s. So
No,
that's
it wasn't.
a
It
good
was
thing.
a,
I
like,
think.
a guy thing, and now it's not. And I think facts will follow in other things that we will all do. That is pretty accurate across the world, almost.
Well, I was just about to say,
I think it's because
I don't know about the UK. Unfortunately, I didn't put up any statistics for the UK. But I know now, as opposed to like 10 years ago, you've got a lot more female gamers. And I think a lot of that is down to user-generated content as well.
I think, well, that's what I was going to add. I was going to say a lot of that, but I think as well, obviously that would be including all forms of gaming. So you talk about mobile gaming,
phone, like casual gaming.
Yeah, and everything. And I reckon a lot more girls, women, lasses, probably are playing a lot more of that type of content than sitting down doing a full-on FPS. But I'm not saying that they wouldn't. It's just, I reckon that's...
Candy Crush.
They make a difference a little bit, yeah. So if you were to say, look, let's not include casual mobile gaming, games like Candy Crush, etc., whatever. If you just stuck with solid console gaming only, I think it would have been closer, maybe, like I said, that 70-30 thing possibly.
I'll say that, guys, my daughter's like 22. I got her into gaming by playing a game called Skylanders.
Yeah.
Because you bought the figures and they came to life.
But that's part of the game.
Yeah,
but it's part of the physicality as well, though.
So she loved that. Now
Amiibos now.
Now she went to uni and she's still plays today. She had 2 days off to play the new Pokemon game that was released. So, but it's a window in. What I love about gaming, above anything else, is that it's a window into a release from your daily life.
Definitely, yeah.
And that's the thing that counts.
And I think it's a great thing that more people, it's now accessible to more people. So both genders, as I say it, both sexes can still get involved and have fun. I mean, you could in the 80s and 90s, but I still think at that time...
It was more siloed then, no?
Yeah.
Now gaming is less siloed, like especially the UK, US, where, a lot of people play games for the social media aspect as well.
Yeah.
So when you say genders, right, I just like to add to that, because I remember taking my daughter, who wasn't sure if she felt like a gamer, to trade shows. But as soon as she got there were people dressed up, painted, loads of different people doing whatever they want from whatever they want to do or believe in. And suddenly her face changed and she thought, I'm just like everyone else.
I'm what it is?
I'm home.
Yeah, I'm just like everyone else.
That, to me, that is the best form of inclusivity, though, because it's not forced, it's not false.
No.
You're naturally just like, everyone's just gelling and getting on and learning about each other's hobby and giving each other their stories and just learning a bit about other people and that, so I like that,
It was good.
And that's what it should be.
I think we'll tie up USA with one question for the both of you. What do you think the average age is of the gamer in the US? And actually, we shouldn't say gamer because I don't like that term in the US, but somebody who plays games.
Oh, I don't know. Let's see if I
29.
I'm going to say 15.
Right, 35 to 36-year-old.
Right, wow. Aye.
Which just, it backs up another fact that I had earlier, that a lot of the people play games in the US, and people have been playing for a long, long time as well.
Well, also, I think
not as many?
sometimes if you buy a PC, it's expensive. So if you buy a top-end gaming PC,
you need that money, you need a
that
job,
money.
you need steady
so
income,
you play
don't you?
World of Warcraft.
But there's that many different formats and different consoles to play on and ways to play with your phone. You'd think it'd be.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be a lot. I'm actually surprised at that. It also proves we don't script these. I would have thought it would have been lower, maybe 20 or so. Definitely not as late as that.
One final thing to finish on for the
good
US here. Microsoft, get your shit together.
Reveal.
Well, I want to have a bit of chat about Brazil. A country that I didn't have as much dealings in with. I haven't been, so but it is the 10th.
I have.
Oh, yeah,
been Brazil.
you've got rabies from a dog and all or something.
No, I could have got yellow fever though.
I wonder what Brazil you were talking about.
Apparently, it's the 10th largest video gaming market in the world, which I didn't know that, but I'm happy to say that they are. The thing about Brazil and all is, and where I am interested, because I love me retro stuff, I'm much into the older stuff, The in the 90s they were more about like the Sega consoles, so they loved like the Master System and the Mega Drive and that,
40 years old, by the way.
You?
Master System.
How old? 40
40 years.
40.
Yeah, I read it on my newsfeed. 40 years.
85, but then the NES came out in 85. No, was it slightly earlier than NES, 84?
I thought the NES was earlier.
I'm sure I read the newsfeed. Sorry.
But I know the Master System was sort of seen as the more direct competitor,
Maybe.
But so they love the early Sega games, Mega Drive, Master System. Ended up with a lot of exclusives as well, but they were more into the late 90s now. But you'd get like a game that would come out on the Master System, like Kung Fu Kid as an example, which I loved.
Like Tectoy and that, wasn't it?
Tectoy was massive, Tectoy. But they released their own versions of games and they would reskin them, usually with popular Brazilian cartoon characters, which I can't even pronounce right, but like you can Google them. But it was nice to see that. But they started to make some of their own games. I mean, with Sega's permission, because they were actually officially licensed. So you start to see it. There was a version of, I think, Street Fighter Champion Edition. Didn't come out in 1997.
I guess that Sega didn't mind because
I think it was all Jim. I think it was all above board. I don't even think it was a license.
If it helped it sell Master Systems as well, why not?
Well, this is the thing. If the market was that big, they'll say, well, look, we don't mind that one single territory getting that Mortal Kombat 3, having those exclusive games. So, but it means that they're getting crazy expensive now. So you need to use like Brazilian auction sites and that if you want to try and get this stuff.
I think that still happens to a degree now. If you think about it, you buy, well, not now, but Soul Calibur, and each system had its own character. So it kind of happens.
Yeah, Soul Calibur 2 started that, didn't it?
Yeah.
What they were doing is, though, what Brazil's main problem is there's a lot of bootlegging going on. So, like I said, the gaming wasn't getting big till the 90s, really. But I mean, you see it now, and some of them, I've got some bootlegs in my collection, some copies and that and pirates. But I pick them up because sometimes they've got interesting box art. Don't tell anyone. They've got interesting box art and that.
We'll keep it between us, don't we?
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody. But name watching anyway. So. But, like it says, Tectoy was the big one. But there was a few early consoles as well. And I've got to double check the names here. Mainly Pong-style consoles, but they didn't really take off in a big way. So you've got like something called a telejogo. Jogo meaning game in Brazilian, or Portuguese, sorry.
Yes.
There's no such language as Brazilian, I'm stupid. Pardon me. And the TV Jogo, again, so TV games, so...
Do you know what I find interesting there is, though, back to your point in the USA, and the way that Japan changed it to entertainment system. Yeah. They never chose to do that by the sound of it.
Yeah. Everything was just called something game.
Yeah.
Well, the thing
Master game system.
Well, the thing about America obviously had a heart of gaming, had its own heart in gaming. Japan has, the UK to a very small degree, but still did, even there. But Brazil, as I said, it was all built on copies, as I said, apart from those few exclusive games. And that was my most interesting period as far as Brazil goes, because obviously I like to see what the culture brings, and if there is bootlegs and that, then so be it, because it's just nice to see. But where they're at now is mainly what we're seeing around the world, is that they like a lot of esports gaming. They're into games like, I need to get these names because I can't ever remember them.
Turning into an industry.
Just before we move on, I think it was due to the really high import taxes, wasn't it?
The taxes were
crazy. They couldn't import the consoles in because it would have cost an absolute fortune, so they made their own.
They'd make their own, but it was just simply that they'd be copying the guts of like a NES.
I thought a certain president had only sat for 2 terms.
No, well, apparently it's
always political. That's why I said certain president.
That led to obviously a lot of piracy as well, which is
done there.
If you want to play, you're going to find a way.
It's not just that. I think it's economies, isn't it? That we spoke about earlier on about you buy a PC. PCs are expensive. How much is it to buy a game system? People's economies are very different. I don't know which one of us is India, but back in the early time, it must have been quite hard for certain people to play those games.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
I think bootleg comes because of availability. It's the same with clothing or anything like that. Do you know
this? What I love to see. Well, this, but I love to see the spin that the bootleggers put on it. I mean, obviously, again, I'm really not moving to your territory here. I think
it's interesting.
But I love what like some of the Asian bootlegs, so Brazil didn't really seem to do that. They mostly took existing games and just changed graphics a bit as opposed to making complete games from scratch. So like I've already said, the Tech Toy stuff is completely official, I mean, and they were usually made, so again, MK3 and whatnot, they were made by the teams that made the versions for like the Game Gear, the worldwide official versions. So this wasn't like Hummer Team or something, which is I think is it Taiwanese bootleggers who make good games actually, for what they are. They were making them to the spec that they should be made, so everything was official, apart from the stuff you were getting for these TV game consoles. But say as far as Brazil goes now, it's Fortnite and pretty much everything else you'd expect to see. But
it's big business in Brazil. They've got they've got their own game show as well.
Yeah.
Like the Brazil game show, largest gaming convention in Latin America. There, it's just a fact we've popped up on the screen now. It's so clearly it's big business in Brazil now as well.
Well, this is what I say though. I mean, for me, like modern gaming, and I know we'll get into it properly later, possibly anyway, but very modern gaming is culturally homogenous. I even managed to say that.
That's good work. Good work.
Good word.
High five.
It's not too bad at all. You know what I mean? And it's good. That's good. It is good. It is good. Look, it's very good. So me being an old fart, right, a stick in the mud, like I do miss that cultural difference, because it was great to like look at different cultures, game cultures, and say, look, they've got their style of games, and they've got theirs. Mm-hmm. So I do miss that, because. But I do understand why I'm the dinosaur here, and I'm like, well, I need to move with the times, or I should be moving with the times, So I do see more advantages to I can't step away and say I do see more advantages to that than disadvantages. I just miss it, I miss that. But I
think, and some of the information I have on different countries, esports is actually part of a government-funded thing now. It's a business, and it makes the country recognised, and it's all part of it, and it's a complete shift to what we know.
And it should be. I think it's a great way forward, as I said. I mean,
I look at like Gran Turismo, like the official, I can't remember what it's called, Gran Turismo Sport, whatever it is, the leagues and stuff that they do. And I mean, I as a fan of GT7, I was tried the other day to play myself. And the races have all the actual, like the
mirrors.
Well, they do the proper penalties if you exceed track limits and things like that. And if you ram someone off the road, you get penalties.
Well, interestingly enough, though, I think we all remember COVID and lockdown, which is pretty horrendous for most people. But F1 got the actual drivers from the F1 circuits and put them into esports.
Yeah.
And actually, they were incredible at it.
Yeah.
And that used to show their races in an esports sim, so they would have had all the penalties and everything. And I don't know why I didn't think they could actually drive a computer, but in my mind I thought computer game is different to real life.
Well, what I like to mind you about the idea behind esports, I mean, is that if you're somebody who's just not as fit as somebody who, or as skilled as somebody who can drive a real car, or somebody who...
to be a Formula 1 driver, you've got to be very athletic. You need to be able to withstand all the G-force and stuff, where Joe Public isn't probably going to be able to do that.
And the esports side of it gives you a way in a different way, and still it'll give you fame and money, and a potentially a job and a hobby, and a way of getting, interacting with people and having fun and that. And also,
take that further.
I think it's great.
If you play, multi games online. I quite like Knights of the Old Republic online.
Yeah.
You have that. You have World of Warcraft, which is obviously massive. You have friends you've never met, and gaming is massively inclusive now.
Yeah.
And it really makes a difference to people's lives. You could go home and have a bad day, and it doesn't matter who you are or anything. But you go in there and you meet your friends.
It's that social aspect, man, and I think that's what's bringing everybody together, like for gaming now. Before we jump off Brazil, one honourable mention, the Zebo.
Oh,
and it's really
Christ, we
good
could
port of
spend
Double
another hour
Dragon.
talking about this.
Let's
What's
not-
the Z?
I
I
forgot
need to
about
know
this.
this.
Yeah, but the Zebo is a Brazil exclusive console. What year was it? 2010.
2006
that another hand
rings a
grenade
bell,
from
but
you?
it might be 2010.
It's the
It-
great
it's
thing
a-
about
it's a
this
proper
little console is it's got its own unique conversions. One of which is Double Dragon, and it's great fun. Like totally different enemies and levels and whatnot. And there's other games obviously, but it's so obscure and hard to get, you know. And the games you can't like get them emulated. Is that right? Still, or they just
They're
recently been-
emulated, but recently,
It was hard. They had to pull, but because the games are download only, they don't come in cartridges or CDs or whatever, Blu-rays
So
or
it was a
DVD.
machine that I've not heard of this.
They download them directly from a server, a bit like the old Satellaview, the Super Famicom thing. And there was a Sega service and all, wasn't there, for the Mega Drive?
Yeah.
And because they download directly to the machine, if you want that game, you need to buy a machine, you know. So until fairly recently, so I can't believe I forgot that. But it was a fantastic little homegrown machine, you know. So
2009 it released.
right, for the
But,
Zebo,
I
well,
don't
machine.
believe it lasted very long, but yeah.
Well, again, I mean, the game, say that was a thing, again, it appeals to me massively because it's a retro machine, really, playing retro style games or retro properties.
It ran on mobile phone hardware as well, so it was pretty.
Well, it's funny because some of the games, I remember some of the games actually coming out on, like, some version, was a version of Double Dragon on the phone, which was slightly stripped down.
Yeah.
It was the same game. Clearly say it was built on the same engine and with the same, same style and that. So
What I would say is, though, what is quite interesting when you mention it is, doesn't it tell you that no matter what system you build, there are some games that are absolute classics?
Oh yeah, you
God,
could
fine.
you could have a system that sounds like absolute dog shit on paper, and in reality is, but it could have one killer app for it that everybody loves and wants to buy that system for. You know,
You'll all put Double Dragon on it. You'll all put
Jack Brothers
Golden
on
Axe
there.
on it. You'll all put something on it. You know, like it would sell the console.
right? That's it.
How have I got the swear jar and it's not even?
Jimmy, you were pounding the
No,
so you can pay it later. That's going to stay on screen from now on. The Golden Axe jar. I thought it would be Glenn
jar.
who got penalised, but no.
look.
Jim.
I was trying to.
Oh,
say no.
love it. I think we're done with Brazil, really.
Let's
Really good.
finish there, and then we'll move on to the next country.
Japan.
Right, hello guys. It's my go with Japan, which is pretty immense, to be fair.
You've got a strong one there, Jim.
Yeah,
strong one.
I've tried to do stuff, and as most people, if we've listened to the 2 episodes we've had, I'm a Nintendo man, really. So from a kid, so
Good job you didn't pick Microsoft because you'd be fucked now. with Japan.
well, chipsets and stuff. So yeah, I mean, we spoke about who the largest one was. Well, we haven't spoken largest. It was USA, but Japan is the second largest gaming country, a third largest gaming country in the world.
Yeah.
But more than that, it's inbred in them, I would say, the way the games are, Pokemon, Mario, there are shopping centres.
And they're very hardcore with their series, aren't they?
Yeah,
It's a big
It's
franchise.
anime.
technology across the board, though, isn't it? It's Japan and technology. It's one of the places I really, really want to go. And I will get a chance at some point through work, just so I can go around the shopping districts and have a look at all the mad tech that they've got.
And we talk about retro gaming, and retro gaming there is absolutely massive.
Yeah.
You can go into
love that
stores
about Japan.
for that, and it's gaming to them is a culture. Anime is part of their culture, which is also part of gaming.
Japan auctions.
Yeah, so all of that kind of stuff. So the first major arcade game for them was released in 1965. It was Periscope, it was an arcade machine.
Yeah.
So that was their first foray.
Mechanical machine, that one and all. So
Is it mechanical periscope?
I'm not
believe
sure.
it is.
I keep
It's the ships,
thinking
I
I
think they're
played
running,
it.
no, but you probably think they've. Is it called Wolfpack or Sea Hunt?
Might be.
It's a Sega game. It's a Sega because the thing is, I'm sorry, I've got my hand up. They did make. I remember playing a Periscope game, and I know the one you're talking about. I know which arcade, and it was it was graphics. But you were talking about a game that was way early, where it was literally.
okay.
I believe they were running on
belt.
like a cylinder, so
Right.
it was all like you say mechanical. So you'd fire a light, you'd fire a torpedo, which is actually a light, up to a.
Yeah.
And it would get triggered off by a sensor.
I mean, it's worth mentioning that we class gaming as electronics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But gaming in Japan has been around for years.
Yeah.
Patong, things like that. It's always been around. Card games, when you play dominoes.
Well, that's Nintendo's history.
Gaming has always been a big thing in Japan, regardless of what you think.
They consider gaming as like crane games and pachinko and things like that.
Yeah.
It's more than just what we
I
consider.
felt it quite odd how many of big franchises. I mean, Silent Hill's got a pachinko game, and that there's Resident Evil. I think there's a Metal Gear pachinko.
Metal Gear, Snake Eater, pachinko machine.
Yeah.
And the graphics
Yeah, I
are
thought
immense
it
on it
was
as
as
well.
well.
You're going off piece. I read an article the other day about a game called The Lost Kingdom. I don't know if you ever touched that. It was on the GameCube. And it's an RPG game.
I think I have.
It's a card-based game.
Is it physical cards? No,
No, it's cards on.
Right.
It's an RPG, but it's kind of a lost gem.
Yeah.
And I owned it, but and I've still got
a
it.
cross between Final Fantasy and Magic the Gathering.
But you actually had to, kind of a Yu-Gi-Oh's that he was like quite an early thing. So, obviously people know the history of Nintendo. We spoke about the entertainment system. Nintendo were a card-based company.
Yeah,
big
originally,
trading cards that then, after Atari moved into computer gaming and had the NES entertainment system.
Yeah.
And from that, obviously, was born, as far as they were concerned, these franchises. Mario, I'll go into a few numbers which are quite staggering when you think of countries and how much money is generated from gaming itself. It's almost mind-boggling. But more interesting in that for me is, then I've gone quite factual on this kind of stuff really, is the people behind it. So some of these designers that we all know ourselves, but other people, they're not Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the only way I can explain it. To me, they're an absolute genius. But if I told you a name like Shigi Miyamoto, and I apologise for every person I pronounce here.
Shiggy's his nickname.
Yeah. So,
Shigster.
yeah, so, we would know him from Super Mario, from Zelda.
Yeah.
We know he's an absolute genius. But if I said to someone else, his name and Steven Spielberg, most people know Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But, it's one of them. It's horses for courses, so it's us. But, yeah, so, Mario games to me were a lifeblood.
They were gaming.
The most the highest grossing franchise and all that.
But what for me is it wasn't that. It was the genius of level design.
Aye.
And, even back in those days, they were playable. And we spoke about games that are not playable, whether ET is or not, I don't know.
Aye.
But
It's not that bad.
Some make questions.
if you look at Super Mario World, it probably is still one of the best designed games of all time.
Completely agree.
Take Super Mario Brothers. I mean, so, not so long after the likes of ET and some of the dribble that Atari were pushing out.
Well, that
and you
was
get
the
a
thing.
game like that.
That's why I think everything. It just the Japan blew the world away with what they were doing with gaming and how everything fit into place. How the mechanics of the games were so perfect.
Yes.
How everything was not broken. Where before that you were just getting broken junk that was just getting hoarded out the door because
Like
it
literal
was still
shovelware.
new. It was still new to people. And like, or in the case of like say Pac-Man, but not ET. I know I've discussed Pac-Man already for a moment, but there you've got an arcade conversion. If you got 2600, an Atari 2600, it's like you were just pleased with what you got at the time. When it's like, well, but you could have done a half competent version of that game.
I hope I'm not stealing your thunder here,
No,
Jamie.
go for it.
But I think where the USA might have been first with the video game console, Japan were the ones that set the quality bar.
Definitely, yeah.
I agree. It's even, I'll go back even more, where we was probably playing on our Spectrums and stuff, and we were playing I'll Feed the Same Monty or Jetpack.
Yeah.
And at the time, they felt great.
Oh, of course.
Because they were playable.
Without
Or Bruce Lee, one of my personal favourites.
well, that's what I'm saying. Without getting sidetracked from the topic of Japan, I do have to mention first of all, if you were talking about just English home computers for a second, then if it was a game made from scratch by someone who actually cared, then you knew for a fact you were going to get quality. So stuff like Pursuit's an American-made game, and not the Spectrum version, of course. Monty Mole and Monty and the One, that
Great
all
games.
English games. But so you've got that level of care that I think you've got in the Japanese industry because people genuinely care in Japan. So even though it's more of a corporate atmosphere with bigger teams, I mean, still that's 3 or 4 men still maybe, but at that time it's the biggest team as opposed to one man in his loft, you know.
But maybe they had better hardware. They had better hardware as well.
Yeah, and they were making something they genuinely loved. There was genuine care and craft. You know, you were looking, you weren't just saying, "Rick, let's bang it out the door."
It helps that Nintendo had the. I mean, I know it didn't apply for some games somehow, LGN, but the quality seal, like the quality approval seal. So you know, like I mean, straight away, you had to be paying serious money to get that seal of approval. Yeah. I don't know if it was actually based on quality, because some games you would think not.
Well,
but you had to be, you know, at least established enough to make a decent game. I mean, you had to be able to afford that seal of approval.
Yes, I mean,
put your game on a cartridge.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the great thing about Nintendo, well, sorry, not Nintendo, but like Nintendo games, the unlicensed stuff. Mine was some of it is hilarious. I think we definitely need to maybe at some point do article that covers the bootlegs, including like the classic Action 52. We'll not dwell on this because obviously it's not really relevant to this particular topic, but I think
so what I'll do is, before I go back to some of the Nintendo designers, I think it'll probably touch you more. You guys are very Sega. Is Yi Suzuki? So you know, he made
Sonic,
Shenmue, Sonic, Virtua Fighter. You know, that again is a Japanese designer that was a different system altogether, but had that
passion.
Yes.
Absolute passion. Yeah, I think he's probably responsible for the majority of the best EM2 arcade games.
Well, my favourite Japanese person, I think, is easily Yuzo Koshiro. Obviously, if you hear that name and you understand it, you'll think of the Streets of Rage music and Shinobi. But he's also
a developer
dabbled
as well.
He's developed, that's what I mean. He's dabbled as is he dabbled as more of a mainstream developer?
No, I think he's more like more of a project lead and developer as well as the music.
That's interesting because you guys
Gunpei Yokoi and that who did
you've spoken about music before and how that has shaped a game you saw in an arcade and wanted to play. It's a really important point. About, you know, it's not just the level, like, you know, I said about level design, but the whole game itself is more than that.
It's a presentation, isn't it? The Japanese nailed it.
Yeah.
It's just, everything's colourful. So everything's always appealing, you know, to look at, you know.
So I can tell you how I know they nailed it, because when they bought Super Mario 2 from America, it was absolutely awful. And it wasn't real.
Wait.
Oh, no, Japan bought it. Yeah.
Like, here's the thing, right? Now, when I think what the reason, right, I call it the Halloween 3 problem. You know, people hated Halloween 3.
My missus loved it, by the way.
Because, Halloween 3 or Mario 2?
No, Mario 2. I loved it.
It was a good game.
Because Princess Peach was in it.
Where they take a property, right, and they use another game or film and they attach a name to it and it ends up being something completely different. It's like, well, but Mario, I found mine, I'll be honest with you, right, if you played Super Mario Brothers original, and you played it for hours and hours and months and months and months, and then someone says, "Oh, Super Mario 2 is coming out," and you get it, and you're like, "Well, it's completely different," you know. But in and of itself, I think it's a really. I actually,
I know
in some ways,
love
preferred it.
Yeah,
because I could beat it easily. I could complete that. I struggled with Mario. I struggled with Super Mario Brothers 1. But obviously, as we know now, that's not the true Super Mario Brothers sequel, you know?
Yeah, Lost Levels was the true original, wasn't it?
I mean, so I guess so.
Don't panic, you know?
This is going to be a nightmare for me. So, Ruji Boosh, the creator of Final Fantasy. Now, I love Final Fantasy. It's one of those things. Final Fantasy VII, for me, on the PS, absolutely blew me away. I'd never played a game like that in my life. And from then, I was hooked on Final Fantasy games.
Got a copy there if you want to buy it.
Got it. But it took me to a different world. It took me to a Japanese environment. It was just...
Squaresoft was special, though.
The story was amazing.
I always found this Final Fantasy series... look, it's not really my thing.
It's not my thing either.
But I did love the history behind the series as a whole and how
But I never played it. I've never played a role-playing game before.
For FF7.
And then I heard about this, and one other game, which I know you're going to pick me up on because I haven't put it down, and the design...
Metal Gear.
Yeah, exactly. So, but when those games came out, they were to me the two iconic games, along with Gran Turismo and GTA.
Are you talking about Metal
on
Gear?
the PlayStation.
Metal Gear Solid.
Solid.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
See, because-
they were the reason, and Wipeout actually a big.
Wipeout. That was
they were the
a
reason to own a
scene.
PlayStation.
UK developed game.
Yeah.
Studio Liverpool.
Yeah, they were
That was
they were the reasons for me to own a PlayStation.
Well,
and also my personal crush is Wing Commander 3, which
Right,
is absolutely
right.
terrible, but has Mark Hamill in it. But yeah, no. So but while we speak about Square,
It's a legendary
there was
game, actually, yeah.
another designer there. So Yuri Horigi, who did Dragon Quest series. So Square Inc. is not just one. It's not
Dragon
one
Quest
person.
predate Final Fantasy on it?
It's not just one person. So that's a big thing. But cut me in on Metal Gear now because.
Well, it's Kojima, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
if you've got your Shigeru Miyamoto, right? He's probably the second most famous Japanese developer in my opinion, but Hideo Kojima's probably number one because his name's always everywhere, but because he
That's
likes
more recently, though, again,
isn't it?
isn't it? It's still in the last, say, 30, 20 years, definitely, 25, where obviously Miyamoto's gone from the very beginning, So I don't know, maybe he's getting pushed more now.
Has Miyamoto ever put himself in the game?
No, and he's not.
Because
and he's
Kojima
not,
has a couple of times.
I don't know if he puts himself in the spotlight as much.
He doesn't. That's the
Unless
difference.
that
Yeah.
was my reference to the whole Spielberg scenario. I don't think so.
I love both characters for different reasons. I say characters because
they are.
Kojima's a
They are
character.
characters, are they?
Miyamoto's not so much. He's he sounds more like a down to earth kind of guy.
So I mean, if you asked me what games I would rather play, it would be Miyamoto's games because I love Zelda, hence the hat, and I love Mario.
Absolutely.
But Metal Gear, not the first Metal Gear, because I know you'll correct me immediately if I say that, but the Metal Gear on the PlayStation.
I've only played it on the NES, as well. I haven't played the MSX.
The one on the
version, I think.
PlayStation, along with Final Fantasy, but one of the two best experiences I ever had.
I love Metal Gear. I don't worship. I adore Metal Gear. Okay, Metal Gear Solid onwards.
Don't lie, you've got a shrine.
Two was rubbish, by the way.
No, I still really enjoyed it.
I think-
The story got a bit silly.
I remember back in the day when the PS2 came out and that game came out, I do remember people being very, very...
vocal about it.
It's basically just, I would say disappointment, but it's also like a mixture, what they really, it threw them for a loop, but not...
It was only because of Raiden, and he played
Yeah,
the same
I
as
know,
Snake.
and people say now the character's go, he's coming to his own anyway.
I had a friend that never played computers at all. Never played computers. And he bought a PlayStation to play Metal Gear Solid.
So what I was going to say, I absolutely adore Metal Gear, okay? But I know if I buy a Mario game, I'm going to have a good time.
That's true.
You're not going to want to return it, are you? That's the simple premise of it.
No, I think you can dip into it. You can have a bit of fun. It's
and with the
colourful.
kids as well.
Like I
That's
said,
the other thing. And the wife, she'll play a
that
Mario
goes
game.
back to what you did last time on our last podcast, which was excellent, where you had that shocking conclusion
With the arcades,
which I walked away and spoke to my missus about and said, look, and he's right. And that's
taking
right.
that down to Scarborough for a weekend so you can play some arcades.
Yeah, see, but like I say again, that to me is what is playable and what's a story.
Metal Gear, say for example 4, which I'm very excited is getting a re-release as part of the second collection. Absolutely love that game. The one time I've played through it. If I loved it that much, I should have played through it more. But I can't handle the 40 odd hours of cutscenes. Even though they're great the first time you watched them, but you wouldn't get that in a Mario game.
See,
you know what I mean? I get continuous playtime in a Mario
this
game.
is where I'm at with games. I said, I mean, I want if I'm going to play games, I want pure gaming. As much as cutscenes are great, and I do see a need for them, I like them, but I'd sooner just go and I'll watch it.
Have you seen the new Cosmic game, the new slides?
Cosmic Kangaroo?
No, it's Cosmic X-Men or something. Cosmic Marvel.
Oh, yes. Aye, yeah.
You're going to love that.
I beat them up, yeah.
Has it got Golden Axe characters in it?
It's old school. It's old school beat 'em up, but you're gonna love that. So yeah. So anyway, there's a couple of others on here I've got, but again for me, notable one, Satoshi Jazari.
Satoshi Jazari, if you're watching, we're sorry, Jamie's butchered your
I
name again.
absolutely apologise because I bought your game since I was a child. I had Pokemon Blue and
Classically
Red.
commented and all.
Yeah, my friend had it.
Fuck you.
My friend had it, and we used to connect the Game Boy to trade it. My daughter is obsessed by Pokemon. It took Nintendo back to its roots, and I can't emphasize that enough because it went from a card game to a computer franchise, and now back to a card game.
Yeah.
It did everything, and it crosses generations. It's been revamped. I own quite a few of the older ones, so thanks very much for bringing it back because it makes them worth more money. But like it was a game that was an RPG that was fun and different, and I'll never forget playing it.
I personally don't have any interest in Pokemon, but I appreciate what it did for the gaming industry.
It is a phenomenon, like, isn't it? I mean, because it's got its finger in so many pies, and it's amazing how long it's lasted as well. Like,
if you played it though, when I played it, and I am slightly older than you actually, but as a stand-up game, certainly the first one or all of them, but I was still probably about 17.
when you say the first one, do you mean red and blue? Then?
Yeah.
Because I know yellow came out slightly later, didn't it? And then you had to go.
It was just a phenomenal. If you saw past what people were saying and played the game, it was actually a tremendous game.
Yeah.
But it's brought back like the whole thing about being in Japan and everything is Pokemon and Mario and why we all want to go there. This is just it kind of, you can play Mario, you can play Zelda, you can do all of that stuff, but Pokemon has massively made stuff relevant again.
Yeah.
And I love that. So for me, anyway, right, just a few other things for me. So general Japanese companies, and I only pick ones that I love. I'm not going to mention Nintendo again, but I will mention Sony. So, you know, the Sony PlayStation console, it had many first-person titles. It changed a lot of 3D gaming, and we spoke about Metal Gear. I've spoke about Final Fantasy, and Sony now, you know, as a company is immense. It was an immense anyway. Then I go to stuff that I think we like.
I think with Sony, though, you know, it's like, it's in the grand scheme, it's still quite a baby. It's still quite the newcomer, you know. It's 1995.
For gaming,
It's not the newest newcomer.
No, it's not. But
for gaming, you're right.
Yeah, for gaming, I mean, you know, it was like
1994 it entered the market, didn't it?
No, but it wasn't a gaming machine. It was in 1994, you know. And it's
Sony did release published games as Sony ImageWorks and that before that.
Well, that's when you start talking stuff like Dracula and Frankenstein, and it gets into what was started off with, really.
Like 16-bit era.
Yeah, and a lot of those games were like Cliffhanger and Last Action Hero.
We know, we don't need to go into the
but that's the
Nintendo
amount.
collaboration.
Remember, that's Sony Image Soft, which is specifically an American publisher. So you could argue that they went on to publish things like Twisted Metal and Warhawk and that, and ASP and Extreme Games. So they're totally independent from Japan.
Yeah,
and they could have died there. I'm sorry for the sidetrack for 1 second.
Right. That's what this is all about.
But they did go. They could have killed the American side of PlayStation now and then for gaming. Just because people might go, well, I've seen that name on this game on the Super Nintendo or that game on the Mega Drive, and went, it's a heap of shit, because there were obviously a lot of licensed games. But thankfully, you know, they did a Terminator 2 game, which is built on the same engine last time.
What they did do was they ended up with Wipeout and Midge Racer.
Yeah, well, that's well said. The game part of
Wipeout. I never used to like Wipeout.
It weren't my favourite game.
I love it now,
but it looked good.
When I say I love it now, I love the last Wipeout game. I've got it on the PS4. It plays immaculately.
It's the music. It was the futuristicness of it. It was exactly what PlayStation was to me. It was new. It was fresh.
It was the music and all. Man, people they fell for that club scene vibe. So they'd have machines built into promo cabinets, expo cabs, so they could play them in nightclubs and that. And it's like, that's just amazing. That, especially because if you think about 1995, 1996, how good that game would have looked and sounded back in that day, and you're half cut and whatever else you might have been on at the time as well, you would have had a wheel of a time, you know. So
right, anyway, so I'll cut away from some of the other ones.
Yeah, apologies.
So I've got that's all right. So I'll cover just two really now. So we spoke about Sega anyway, but Capcom. So, you know, those games with my games, you know. So I've got the Danny. It's
Mine as well,
Resident Evil.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's Street Fighter.
Yeah.
It's God knows how many other games. Just that noise when you turn on the cartridge. And leading me into that before we talk about it is Konami. So Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, Castlevania, any number of games we've spoke about. Cybernator we don't talk about, but I loved Cybernator. You know,
I think I ever played it.
I know what it is. I'm
yeah,
gonna play
so
it, but-
you know they are two not sleeping giants because they're still there, but some people wouldn't recognise them on the same level as Nintendo or people like that. But actually, they're developing games massively and under the radar, and it deserves a mention.
I've always, we've discussed this before, I know, but I've always loved Konami from the 90s, at least, because of, well, we have talked about it several times, but I can't mention it again, was because you'd have multiple versions of a game. You know, like you'd have Sunset Riders, or you'd have the Turtles in Time versus Turtles Hyperstone Heist, and they'd have their own sort of, or Rocket Knight Adventures, you know, Sparkster, and they'd do their own things to the games and create their own versions. It was amazing.
Coming back to Kojima though, all the upset between Kojima and Konami to the point where Konami got so much hate. One person can really be bigger than the company.
Yeah, that did happen. Did that. That's what happened.
Well,
But now look at Konami. They're singing again. They're releasing Silent Hills every
But
other week.
it's funny though because you know, like if you think of FIFA, in my time, international or superstar soccer was actually a better game
Yeah.
than FIFA, and it was only marketing and EA that destroyed that franchise.
Yeah.
In my opinion, playability, and obviously they got the licensing. Playability, that was always a better game.
Yeah, I'd say it's amazing how many people will fall for license and first, wouldn't it?
I think, I mean, not to go too deep into FIFA and that, but
The development's better now, but back then it was
I think from probably 2003 or something maybe, late PS2 kind of, well, mid PS2 era. That's when I think FIFA started to find its feet and become a better game.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
But,
maybe a bit later than that actually. Maybe 2005.
Well, I mean, so International Superstar Soccer on the SNES was amazing, much better than FIFA. On PS1, you know, it was a better game than FIFA. But then, exactly what you've described.
Literally like mid PS2 era, I think. Yeah,
I agree. So yeah, well, a couple of facts then to finish with because we're running over really. So for Nintendo, I don't really know if people understand what they're worth as a company when you think of how much countries are worth. So they're worth $16.8 trillion the last time I looked.
that's what I've got in my back pocket right now. Actually,
But on top of that, you know, so Mario in all formats, which is every game Mario makes. So you're talking about Dr. Mario and all that kind of stuff. So you couldn't really class it as just Mario.
yeah.
And the franchise is so, you know, it's got
everywhere.
its fingers in everything. Yeah,
So,
you
I
know,
mean,
it's like
and
Spectre.
they've sold like 957 million copies of a Mario game.
Like Mario across the board.
Yes.
But if you think how long Mario's been out,
Hotel Mario and that, you know.
so to go back to
10
my
million now, like.
Pokemon point, how long Mario was out before with Game Boy, which was exceptionally successful, that Pokemon has sold 489 million copies.
When did Pokemon originally come out?
98, I think, or 97?
Yeah.
So I mean, Mario had a hell of a head start.
Yeah, so
No, that's really respectable compared.
There are
really respectable.
franchises like
I think if it started at the same time, I reckon Pokemon would have eclipsed Mario.
Possibly edged
well,
it out. Yeah.
there are franchises on Pokemon like Pokemon Pinball and stuff, but they're nowhere near as big as like Dr. Mario or Mario and Donkey Kong. You know, those kind of games. So actually,
Well, I suppose
think
technically-
I would actually say that Pokemon is a bigger game nowadays.
Yeah. They're probably considering the Mario games, even so the games without Mario in the title. So Donkey Kong possibly is considered a Mario game now as opposed to a Donkey Kong game.
Yes,
To be
that's
sure
what I
it
think
is,
they've
'cause-
included that
yeah,
in those
to
figures.
Because it's part of the Mario universe.
It is. So what one universe.
So when you compare Nintendo to Sony, 172 billion compared to trillion.
Jeez,
And you wouldn't think that, but these are the facts I found. I would happily be corrected by anyone. Konami. So let's play a little game here, right? Konami are lower than Sony, but are Konami higher or lower than Square?
I would have said lower.
Yeah, I agree.
No, they're double what Square are worth.
What's that, about 2 billion or something?
So they're worth 1.9 billion US dollars.
That was close.
Konami, but it's probably down to almost one man.
Yeah.
Aye.
And Square Inc. are 7
It's all
billion.
the five
So,
prices,
wow.
isn't it?
you know, like I say, I hope it hasn't been too boring or factual, but when you research stuff, it's like that.
You've got a lot of unusual. You've got a lot of very important franchises, though, with such deep roots from Japan that you've got
massively.
to go into a bit of detail with these. You know, there's no way around it.
We could do a 2-hour show on Mario, a 2-hour show on Pokemon. We could, you know, it would be very easy. So I tried to look at it in a different angle, and also celebrate the people that have shaped my life.
Yeah.
These people that design games have shaped all 3 of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
They've told me stories
Yeah.
over my life. They've told me a story.
You get to keep them as well, though. You know,
Yeah.
you get to be there.
yeah,
You know, forever.
Yeah, and it sounds a bit deep, really, but it's true.
It should. No, but I think, you know, there is. It's a form of art. Some people don't like to say it that way, but it is. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and you see, especially you look at the artwork, the literal artwork in Japanese games going all the way back to the 80s and definitely from the 90s onwards now. Absolutely stunning. You know,
I think we all miss a game booklet, right?
Didn't get started on another half an hour. That'd be it for me, yeah.
Well, that's another
Anyway, game
episode,
booklet,
Let's jump on the hypothetical airplane, boys, and we'll move to the next country. Yeah.
No worries. That's
Thank you.
the way we'll go.
Quick interruption, guys, and don't worry, it's only about 45 seconds, which incidentally is about the same amount of time it takes for us to embarrass ourselves in a boss fight. Did you know Gaming on a Brain isn't just a podcast? We're on YouTube as well. Do you want to watch playthroughs? Because we've got them, with and without commentary. Perfect for the kind of person who likes to watch other people press their buttons. Or how about some Let's Players? I mean, that's just us laughing, dying repeatedly, and pretending it was all part of the plan. Our head-to-head series can get very competitive and very heated, and yeah, that's where the friendships go to die. But if lists are your thing, then our hashtag 5 series has you covered. Think of it like some snack-sized reviews, but without the calories. We're working hard at Gaming on the Brain to bring you as much fun, engaging content as possible, and all we ask in return is a review, a like, a sub, or a cheeky comment just telling us how rubbish we are. And we'll probably respond as well with some equally bad banter. Now let's get you back to the podcast. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
USSR.
2 words. Alexei Pajitnov. I think I'm saying it right.
Tetris?
Yep. Man who made Tetris, yep.
Is
We're
that
off to Russia, guys.
Russia, yep.
Yes, we are. One of the largest gaming communities worldwide, apparently.
Is this a good time to get out of Russia and get back to the UK?
Probably to get back into Russia, to be honest. Like, to be fair, I mean, now more than ever. Apart from the licensing issues and the embargo that they've got, you know.
Brilliant film, by the way. Brilliant film if you want to watch it.
I've never watched it
on
yet.
Netflix.
I will.
I think it is. It's a fantastic
Apple,
film.
isn't it, I think?
Yeah, very good.
They've what they did is during the 80s, they had a lot of like unusual early Soviet-looking cabinets. I mean, because we're Soviet-built, that's why. And they're like very simple-looking things, so
like
just
larder.
big chunks of wood. Yeah, very all about practicality and without really being practical. So it makes no sense at all. And simple clones of like the mechanical type of stuff we were talking about earlier, you know, and simple shooting games, not with rifles and that attached. Russia is another one that likes to bootleg a lot of stuff, you know. So we had let's have a look. We had a clone called the Dendy, which was actually a Taiwanese clone. So, but it was a big one in Russia, and that was released over there in 1992. You know, so Russia, like I say, Russia's always going to be known for that one big game, really. And like you say, it's Tetris and everything in between. They still love their esports as well. You know, it's still all about esports with Russia.
I think it's an interesting thing, you know. Tetris was just, again, we'll go back to the MIT thing, right? At the very beginning of this podcast. That was probably just a guy that made a game with blocks.
Yeah.
And
just died probably by accident at the time as well.
And that's how they sold Nintendo Game Boy. And we all had it. You guys have discussed playing it in your garden
still
shed.
love it, yeah.
Still do.
Yeah, in your garden shed with your you know, that's what you used to play. We all did.
100 copies or something?
Yes, I didn't have that fact really, but I probably should have done from Japan because I imagine that outsold most games.
Yeah. No, it was It was one of the biggest games in the world, and it always will be now. It's had multiple sequels as well going forward. But they also had another company, Electronica, and that was also producing early homegrown NES consoles.
Right.
So Famiclones, you know.
Okay,
but again,
right, yeah.
it's got a very similar. Well, at the time in the 90s, it had a very similar culture still to like what Brazil were doing, you know, with those basically nothing of their own apart from their shitty arcade games, and just to move into a lot of bootlegging stuff, you know. So
Well, I don't know. I never thought about it, right? But it kind of strikes me now with Tetris, to go back to it. Do you think that they made them keep the Kremlin in the top on the
front of the
screen?
car, is that
Yeah, I think they would have, yeah.
Yeah, I think
It seems like a Russian type thing to do, yeah.
It does, doesn't it? Like,
so.
you can have it, but you have to do that. I don't know. It's one of them crazy things, really.
Well, Russia also has their genre preferences. Sorry, like a lot of RPGs.
Really?
Yeah, I'm massively into the RPGs. Into a lot of strategy shooting games as well. You know, they seem to be having quite a bit of fun there going forward. Like popular global titles for Russia though is World of Tanks. I can get behind that because I like me tanks.
Yeah.
War
You know,
Thunder.
War Thunder's amongst them as well. You know,
Yeah.
another game that's been a big one. But again, like everywhere else now, a lot of mobile gaming, Roblox, Genshin Impact. You know, what people are pretty much into at the minute. You know, again, the culture's getting so similar, like as I said earlier. So
I think it's
everywhere
also it's a bridge, isn't it? So you've got these games where, regardless of political or personal interest, you go online and you just play anyway because it's a game.
It's just that
It's an escape.
It's all the taking apart that counts, isn't it? So
It's a game.
I can see as well, just on the note to say, PC gaming dominance in Russia. So they're obviously big PC
game with the
players as
online,
well,
a lot of that. But again, a lot of the issues again is recent history, you know, and that's a lot more down to what's going on with Ukraine, and that, again, it always gets political. So you're getting like a lot of sanctions and that, you know, people trying to put, like I said earlier, embargoes on consoles and equipment, and games coming into the country and that, you know. So
things like Steam and that. I mean, you've got like Counter-Strike 2 here is mentioned as one of the most popular games, Call of Duty, and I think it's games like that that are getting like banned from playing, isn't it? They're not allowed to access Xbox Live, not allowed to access Steam.
They're getting stricter, apparently, as well. They are getting stricter with regulations on violence and that, which
right.
There was a time when I wouldn't have agreed, and that was like 30 years ago, because I mean, obviously, you see how a game looks now. I mean, you wouldn't want very young kids playing some of the stuff, you know, they're not just games anymore, you know.
Well,
they're beyond that now.
One of my favourite Call of Duties was the original World of War. I loved it.
Well,
and that was, you know, it was like you, there was a Russian team or
well, interestingly enough,
I loved that game.
One of my, would I say, favourite, the one that like definitely blew us away and disturbed us at the same time was like clearly Call of Duty 2, Modern Warfare 2 with the no Russian level,
changer.
you know, and I mean that was like, well,
Chernobyl.
it was a game changing. It changed, you know. I was like, Jesus Christ Almighty, man, to see something like that, you know, at the time, obviously when graphics were getting quite good, you know.
I think it blew a lot of people away. In fairness, that you know, Chernobyl was a place you couldn't walk round, but I could virtually walk round that.
Aye, yeah.
It
Well, the
was
model
just
did that,
insane.
didn't they? Didn't they make a pretty attractive model?
absolutely,
I mean, you can visit that place now as well. But it's still.
Oh, I'd like to do that.
There's limit. I think I would actually.
I'd love to do that. You just, you know, just because it's somewhere that's reclaimed by nature, nothing to do with anything else. Just it's a place that's reclaimed by nature, and I find that fascinating.
But there's still, as far as I've seen as well, there's still a lot of older consoles existing there as well. So you're seeing Mega Drive. I mean, I'll buy a few Mega Drive games and then give them from Russian. The bootlegs again, a little bit like the Brazilian ones. They've got like their own artwork, and sometimes they like to mess about with the games a bit, so they're not exactly the same as they would have been.
It's everyone's Zangief.
Should have been. Right? But
I think is it just because that's what they have available, or do you think that just retro gaming is still strong worldwide?
No, I don't think it's strong. Not worldwide.
Not worldwide.
I think it said I was going to have some countries where it is and some where it isn't. I would say Russia isn't. The games, the stuff that they've got is just, I think, through necessity from what I've seen.
It's, again, down to a lot of the localization issues of bans and stuff like that, and maybe
it's a tricky one.
Yeah, it's one of those, like if if you suddenly took down all the servers for like Steam and Xbox Live and stuff like that, and you couldn't use half these things, you'd probably find a lot of us reverting back. You know, people who were already
still want to go
retro orientated, reverting back to what they can play without, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, even like your single player games on like an Xbox 360, for example, they've still got usually some sort of tie-in with achievements or something like that.
Yeah.
So to just not be reminded that you've suddenly lost access to what you had 5 minutes ago is probably the best way to do it, and play something that doesn't need that kind of thing. Boot the PlayStation 2 or the Mega Drive or something.
I often did it anyway. I often play games that have absolutely no relevance to online.
Well, this is where I've always went. I mean, I played a little bit of online during the PS3 days, so that's still a long, long time ago now. And beyond then, I mean, I moved away from it. I never touched the PS4 online, and I don't even have a PS5. So, you know, it's beyond what I like, you know, anymore now. Like I say, but
that's interesting. Because like I said, I went back to FIFA. It was the first time I bought it in 10 years, and do you know what? I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Really enjoyed it.
It's in small doses. I can't play much. I
don't play a lot.
I'd literally used to do like full leagues with like Sunderland and pretend to like a
no, I went in the league.
A better team at the moment, but
I beat a couple of people when the guy turned it off, but I also got my arse handed to me a couple of times as well. So.
Oh no, I don't mean online leagues. I literally mean single player against the computer.
Oh, okay, no.
Unprofessional though, you know. So
you should be getting back the kick-off 2 days, man, on the Omega. That's what you want.
Hey, kick-off 2 is fine, but sensible soccer is the goal.
Aye.
I think
sensible world is what
am I right in thinking we've exhausted Russia and we're getting the fuck out of here?
I think we probably will. Let's
start the plane.
Let's get away before Vlad puts us in some gulag somewhere. Right.
Nice one.
Bye Russia, mother Russia.
Thailand.
Right, so it's back to me. So after the terrible pronunciations from Japan, I'm on to Thailand.
Oh,
so.
fuck. It's not going to get any better for Thailand, is it?
No, I've been totally stitched
who fuck?
But basically, when you're a newcomer, they've gone, you're taking these ones, right?
Well, I personally, Jim, I really actually want to learn about Thailand's gaming environment, gaming culture, because I know nothing. You know, I know nothing.
Well, the first beauty of it is really Thailand's early sort of video game dates back to 1977. And
in Thailand, right?
Yeah, although I know I look young and fresh-faced, that is the year I was born.
That's 1 year before me.
So, you know, and it was the launch of the Atari.
They got the Atari, did it?
Yeah, so the 2600. So
Jesus.
That was their first sort of system, really. But interestingly enough, it wasn't really massively popular. But what was popular was Game & Watch.
Right?
Nintendo Game & Watch. It was like a really popular thing.
More popular than the Atari, though?
Yeah, because, I don't know, maybe it's on you on the go, or it's... I mean,
Did they have a Game Boy, or...
Well, no, well, clearly not. But I remember getting a Game & Watch for Christmas. I mean, they were relatively cheap back
Mario
then.
Cement Factory.
It must have been down to portability at the time. It must have been down if they were on the fly or they were at work or something, and they had stuff to play during the break times, because they wouldn't have done it during work. So probably got chucked in with Tong Po or something.
So then you move into the 1990s and the entertainment system. Obviously, the Nintendo entertainment system became popular.
So it sounds like they were a few years behind.
They were always behind.
Yeah.
They don't sound as well, I don't want to say they were bottled in case I want to be insulted, but I was in they were. I didn't think they were that savvy with gaming at the time. I thought they weren't.
No, I don't think
they seem to have having the Super Nintendo still.
Yeah, so when we speak about 1994, they released the PlayStation.
Yeah.
But they never actually hit that market until a lot later. So, the PlayStation never went there till 1996. So another 2 years.
That's not bad. I thought if you'd said 10 years later, I'd gone, Jesus, fair enough. But 2 years isn't too bad at all, to be fair, man.
But the PlayStation 2 became the most sought-after machine.
Yeah, in Thailand.
Yeah, so, because of the backwards compatibility. So they didn't buy PlayStation 1, but when they got PlayStation 2, they could play PlayStation 1 games. Yes. So PlayStation 2 became super important
Because it's suddenly opened up a whole
it
library.
opened up
extra
the
market
door
of
to
games,
that older library.
Yeah.
So PlayStation 2 is quite a big thing then, and Xbox 360 as well. But they suffered from the red rings of death, which we all suffered from. But yes, it's interesting that they almost sometimes
do have to have strong code.
Feels like they skipped. So if you imagine you went from entertainment system to Game & Watch, skipped the SNES, and went to PlayStation,
right,
and then ended up really being PlayStation 2, where you went back
to PlayStation 1.
Yeah, so it's just that's quite interesting. Sony release of the PlayStation 3, that came out because of Blu-ray capabilities. What I found more interested in is more up to date now. So the different things that they do now. So Thailand government recognises e-sport as a professional sport from 2021. So for the last 5 years,
4 years
so
or so,
massive support for e-sports.
That is actually a professional sport.
It's amazing how
It's backed by their government. I mean, it's a revenue raiser. If you think about Bangkok as a country, not a country, as a place, it's very high tech, and they want to promote that. What better way to do that than have an esports team? And one of the biggest sort of tournaments there is Valorant. So Valorant Masters is in Bangkok every year. So if anything, the country has evolved over time. I guess a bit like sort of Singapore and places like that. They've embraced technology. They've moved with the times, and they see gaming and that side of it as actually an industry.
Yeah.
And I think they're embracing it from the stuff I've read. And again, I apologise if I haven't nailed any of this stuff. It's just stuff I've researched. But I think it sounds like a great thing. It's gone from, they've skipped a few steps, but now they're massively...
Sometimes it might be for the best because if they'd stuck with the step of every generation that many countries have, they might still be well behind now.
They might still be on like PS3, for example, or something,
because they might have never bothered to move that step forward.
I think it'd be interesting almost to Google the top esport people in the world and find out who's number one, who's number two, who's number three. Because are these sponsorships from governments improving the players and the time they have to play?
Yeah.
And is the UK behind that?
I think we are. I know there's some support there, but when you look at the likes of Thailand here, like you say, it's a a backed sport, essentially, a recognised sport. We're not there. We might say we are, but we're not.
Do you think that? I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I didn't even think about this as an answer or anything, but football's our thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but they're not going to be renowned for football, but they can put money into gaming.
Yeah.
And suddenly they're renowned for it. Do you know that Thailand's number one at this? Or look how revealed they are. And this, as I described earlier on when we spoke about how much money these companies make, just because it's not mainstream doesn't mean that it's not important. And maybe they've seen a niche there and gone, we're going to back our gamers. And we're going to do that. And it opens up a completely different debate, really, on what different countries are like. So, that's kind of what I learned. It was interesting to me. I love a bit of Game & Watch. I always did. I had them at Christmas. I've got a few. And
the look, I've seen your collection. I do think they're pretty pleasing to look at. Like, I do, and the size and that, and the portability that makes them collectible. Like, you want to just see them on a shelf and that, I bet still in the boxes and that if you can.
I think you were right though when you said about not Game Boy.
Yeah.
So why Game & Watch and not Game Boy?
It seems like a big jump.
It might have been too much money.
Yeah, maybe maybe
economics. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to look, and in a funny way, I found it more interesting to look at that than I did Japan because I knew.
You know a lot about Japan, yeah.
That's what I say. So, I mean, it's something I
say a lot.
Nothing about.
I'll be hammered for that. But
so it's nice to look into something new. And that, again, goes back to what I says about, like, when the culture is very, very similar across the board, you stop finding anything new, which is a shame, you know. So it is still nice to dig into a culture I knew nothing about.
Well, I see you brought up some things there on the social age.
Yeah, apparently a report by We Are Social says that in Thailand, 93.2% of internet users aged 16 plus play video games, which is very high globally.
Massively, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. 76% of Thai consumers now game for at least an hour per day. But what we know from that as well, mobile gaming is very, again, high, like 90% roughly in Thailand as well. So what I'm assuming here is that over 10% is the ones who partake in the esports and stuff. Because I don't think there's much you can really play on mobile gaming esports wise.
They're a very tech company, they're tech country now, aren't they?
Yeah,
Like a lot of countries are that way, South Korea and stuff. Well, no, we wouldn't cover that, but they're very tech orientated. You know, their internet, everything is tech orientated, and I guess that drives you towards the mobile phones, to all of it, and it's I think we all know that gaming is no longer a guy that sits in his room or a girl that sits in his room. We all know that.
And that's good. I've always thought that's good because you've got a stigma attached to it at the time, which again is now goes back to what we say how now 48% of women play games in America, which I thought was great.
Which is similar to the UK as well, from what I understand. But
our culture has been similar,
Well, I think for me, that's Thailand done. I hope I covered some facts. I guess not all, but it was random, but quite enjoyable just to even investigate.
It's nice to see something different that I didn't know much about, so
On to our next destination. I'll say that right this time. On to our next destination, Glenn. The pints are talking now.
Oh, right. That's...
India.
Well, one more country for me, and that is India. India. Home of the best curries in the world. But anyway, India is quite a new and upcoming community really for video games. I mean, when I say new, I don't mean like in the last 5 years, but definitely about the last 20, 25 years. It didn't have a great deal of video game culture for a while, but they were beginning to make their own, create their own PS2 games back in the early mid-noughties. They had a God of War clone called Hanuman Boy Warrior, which really was a God of War clone, but created by Sony of India.
Right.
So,
but it was Sony though.
It was Sony, yeah,
right.
And it came actually boxed with the PS2 at the time as well. There was a few other games as well in between, but the thing is with what India would do at the time is they would tend to inject their culture into the games, so there was quite a few first-person titles for PS2, and nearly every one of them would you need to really be an Indian person to understand some of the culture and the religious references and stuff like that's where it goes, Not a problem in itself, of course. It's just that me as a layman not really understanding would come into that and not really have a clue,
Yeah, but I think in general though, it's quite interesting that gaming shapes society. So they know, people know that gaming shapes society. You don't want a certain point of view.
This goes back, to be honest with you, right? As much as I've just said that, I wouldn't have been able to really probably gel with that game. I like it though. I like the idea though that a game, I would be able to go, I'll play a game that is nowhere near anything I would have played. I would have ordered up cool. So I'm playing something.
I worry though, is it more like gaming helping to shape society, or is it a case of them taking advantage of the games to try and push?
I think it's more the second
not an agenda as such, but push the knowledge onto people.
Do you know what it is? I think, say again, I think what we're doing is we're applying our way of thinking to... So I think it is more of the second point, but I think people would have been happy to have that because that's the culture, I mean, they want those religious icons in the games and that, It's so they want to be a player as as a religious hero, like we might go.
So I think if
Batman or Spider-Man or Superman,
so I guess if you boil it down to its origin, gaming is fun.
So
true.
And I mean, like I've just said, that particular game, I'm just using that one example there, because it's a well-known game in India, and it plays like God of War. It's God of War. It's got the orbs, the difficult orbs, the bosses and everything. It's a bit janky though, because I'll get on to the second point about India. They're still quite behind. No offense to anyone Indian people watching or listening, but they are still a little bit behind the curve when it comes to actual game development. There's just that still haven't going by what I'm reading here, is the quality is still not the best yet when compared to Western markets. I mean, they were doing PS3 games as well, and I remember buying a few online. I bought a Carmageddon clone called Drive and Survive, and it was utter shite.
Right.
It was, I don't know if you remember getting it, it was absolute utter twat.
When you say it was utter shite, was it worse than the
Have you
PlayStation version
Have you
of
played
Carmageddon?
Tri-X?
It was about on par. Sorry,
Right.
mate?
Tri-X.
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 Is that like Golden Axe?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, wait, get that job. Get that job.
That's one each now.
The thing is with India, right? Like I said, the development is a little bit. It's not exactly on with other Asian countries such as China and South Korea. Thailand's obviously upcoming, as we've just spoke about, doing quite well. And there's regulations. There's a lot of regulations in place and all now as well, which they're still careful about violence as well, though. Again, because the last thing you want really is seeing Hanneman getting his head torn off by a gargoyle or something,
It's interesting, though. I think that's a good point, that there are places that things are regulated because of that kind of thing. I mean,
Well, you would think you would expect it more, though, wouldn't you, when you're using or maybe not an actual person that existed, unless they maybe did, I don't know, an actual person who existed in religion, you know. So it's the same as having like the Norse gods, or like, we know that they're a work of fiction, but they're still a work of I'm trying to think of a way to say it. They're still real in the sense that they exist in historical fiction. The best place to put it.
Like a Minotaur.
It's not just somebody wrote it in a book, made a character in a book.
Like a Minotaur.
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
thing. Yeah. I agree.
I mean, it's not just something that was just created out of the blue for nothing. It's got a historical, story to it, and that's going by India. That's a lot of their culture. As of now, as of 2020, well, as of last year, 2024, they've what was it? Forgot. The Indian gaming market is estimated to be worth $3 billion, with projections to cost $5 billion by 2025. So obviously we're near the end of 2025 now.
That's quite a lot.
It's
That's
nearly doubling
significant.
Oh, well, this is the thing. I mean, but again, they've developed as far as the sales go and the fans and the players and that, but they're still not really doing a great lot as far as development, unless you talk about mobile gaming, and that, again, mobile gaming's up and that.
It's huge. Apparently,
PC gaming as well, which is great to see. So
Well, it's funny that because, India make a lot of mobile phones, just the general technology of a mobile phone. They don't really import iPhones and stuff like that. They have their own brands.
Yeah.
And they're very big on tech.
yeah,
So
true, like.
it's interesting that they don't always develop the games, because they certainly have the tech people to do stuff. So,
Well,
as I said, this is a learning curve for us.
The thing is, again, it goes back to what we've discussed in every single country previous to here as well, is that esports is a thing, is a big thing again now. Again, not necessarily Indian developed titles, but they've latched onto the titles from these other countries, and they've ended up, gaining communities and getting involved with everybody else, and it's a nice part to see that they include simply there.
It reflects again on what you said at the start, though, about homogenization between all of the countries, globally,
Which says it's overall a good thing. It is overall a good thing, because you want everyone to be on the same page when it comes to game rigs. You've got more people playing the games.
I think when you look at a country of that nature, you have to remember that everything is very different.
The culture is different.
The culture is
overall,
different from state to state, from region to region.
Yeah.
So nothing, it's not transferable, and it's just a different demographic, which is why it's interesting just to talk about it or look about what you think's going on. It's always interesting.
Well, I will just mention one more thing here. I've just got on my notes here about the game developers. So, because obviously I would like to shout out a little bit to Indian game developers, So we have Indian studios like Nazara Technologies, Encore Games, 99 Games, which is not 989 Studios. I've been from memory. Jet Synthesis. These are all creating local games apparently. So, but it just says local games according to the information I've got. So I don't reckon these are
You're not getting released
major
here.
games.
And that,
There'll
yeah.
be small mobile games and stuff, which is still good. It's not a bad thing,
Well,
but it shows that there is the up and coming, the more up and coming.
The mobile game market, I mean, just saying here, over 90% of online gamers in India use smartphones. So I would imagine
Exactly,
if those
yeah.
people aren't aiming at that demographic, they're aiming at the wrong portion,
Yeah.
essentially.
And it's good to
That's
see
where
that
their
they're
money
still
is,
doing
isn't it?
stuff.
That's
Yeah.
where their money is, yeah.
I mean, as I said, it's a small for the size of India and all Christ, but so at least they're doing what they can. And I think if you throw another decade at India, everyone will be on the same page. While then completely possibly even their developers will be up to snuff, maybe up to scratch. Like
Yeah, it might start seeing actual Indian developed games worldwide, essentially.
it goes back to what I just said earlier, though. I mean, the PS2 games were behind the curve. I mean, they came out when the PS3 was a thing, but like that particular PS3 game I mentioned, Smash and Survive, which was like nowhere near Twisted Metal, or even Full Auto. You remember Full Auto?
Right.
I love Full Auto. They came out that game came out in 2012, and obviously the PS3 was. You could still get PS3 stuff there, but the PS4 was obviously,
Yeah, right.
but the fact that they were trying, they were only one generation behind, which is not too bad, really. I mean, to me, if you're one generation behind, you're still developing current. Just obviously, if you go for cheap
Yeah.
stuff, generally, So, but other than that, though, India, good luck to you. Hanneman as well. Me hats off. So,
Yeah, interesting.
Spain.
Yeah, so back to me, really. And Spain was one of my nominated countries, but I do like Vega.
Fair enough.
Terrible at playing with him, but he's my kind of guy. So Spain is a massively active video game market. I mean, it's a large country. So it's a very much popular. It's very popular there. Interestingly enough, people average 7.42 hours of gaming.
I've got a statistic here, Jamie, as well.
Okay, that's interesting.
83% of the Spanish population are gamers.
Yeah,
That's
mad.
fucking.
But again, though, anybody who's got a cell phone, sorry, I'm English, and mobile, will be classed as a gamer if they're just so
We're
not playing Snake.
But that counts.
That would count. That would absolutely count.
Yeah, so you'd be absolutely right though. But that's a high percentage of people that like gaming or even gaming on the go.
Again, that's going to cover casual and mainstream and hardcore, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's an interesting point, really.
It does sound on you. It sounds crazy on paper, doesn't it? So the others. Well, would I say the other 17%? The old people probably not, because probably about 10% of that there is probably people over 65.
So almost all people play games.
Just to cite this correctly, it's
30% babies.
Gamer.biz who made that claim. So,
Right.
I mean, that straight away sounds like someone who's talking about mobile phone gaming or handheld gaming.
Guy, because it picked up. So that 17% is probably newborns.
To add context to that, though, this is one of the countries that, interestingly enough, female gamers outdo male gamers.
Jeez, wow.
So, it's very close. It's, 51-ish% to 49%. But what a great figure. What a great
Girl power.
thing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's brilliant. It shows that gaming is changing massively in who we target, what we do. That's a really interesting statistic when I looked at it. So looked at consumer habits. Multiplayer games are pretty big and mainly dominant. So lots of people play multiplayer games online, which is in standard with most people, sort of countries within the world, really. The Spanish market is generally grown by 12% year on year.
So it is continually growing on.
Yeah, and it's roughly worth around £4.18 billion in Spain. I mean, that's an awful lot of money.
That is an awful lot of money. It shows it's clearly big in Spain as well.
Well, it is, and you look at different reasons for that. And we're not a political place, but money goes into countries and it's used for things within your country. Gaming can't be ignored in any country as a revenue stream.
Definitely not. One of the biggest revenue streams.
Yes,
talking about Spain, and my again going back to my sort of area of what I call expertise. You can snigger if you like, but I love. Back in the 80s and the early 90s, that they had a certain set of computers that they were mostly into, and it was always like the Spectrum and the Amstrad, to a lesser degree the Amiga and that, and they say on the MSX, I love the MSX computer line, not so much the consoles, and they were like, that was their sort of thing. I mean, obviously it's been not a thing for decades,
Yeah, of course.
but they would create games just for the MSX that you wouldn't see anyway. You know what we said about almost like the Brazil thing where, they have Master System stuff. Well,
I know you love a random game.
Oh,
I know you do.
It's obscure stuff, and also be like, I never knew that game came out on the MSX. And
You probably try to buy it for £2,000 off someone on eBay.
Only 1,500 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, so, esports world, because we've spoken about that quite a lot. Spain are ranked 12th in the world for esports, and it's 147 million pound in 2025. So again, big thing. Standard games we know, League of Legends, FIFA, Counter Strike.
Yeah.
The government again backs esports.
Right. Okay.
So an interesting point, I think, along with Thailand.
They've got to be taking taxes from that, no? They've got to be
Well, they are, but
It's more investment, I think, at this stage, isn't it?
It's a growth area.
Yeah.
So, when you look at things, if it's a growth area, people are working there, they will pay tax, as we all do. And it's an area it's a revenue stream.
Yeah.
If it's anything like the UK government, they'll put money into it now to grow it, with the idea that down the line they'll tax the shit out of something to make it back. So somebody will pay somewhere.
Yeah, they'll probably wait. It's so massive and that, and then they'll take it back in fees and that. Something. They'll just start saying, right, we've got to charge a fee now for you to use this venue.
That's just us being negative.
But the thing is,
it's being realistic.
Well, it's not. But you have a lot of dinosaur people around that don't think. Don't think about things, and really, in reality, this is a massive industry, and no one talks about it.
Yeah.
A lot. Anyway, so get back to normal stuff. So, just a few key call-outs for me on Spanish game developments, which people might know or might not know. And the two series that spring to mind for me are Mercury's Steam. So they're a part of the Semius returns. Again, I'll bring it back to Nintendo, and I'm going to end up with a swear jar on Nintendo next week. I know that.
Aye.
And Metroid Dread. But also Pyro Studios, they did the Commando series, which I very much enjoyed. I really enjoy the Commando series.
Oh, I did the tactical based shooters.
That's developed by Pyro. So Spanish.
There was one of them came out not too recently as well, I think it was.
So I mean, like I say, until you dig around and have a look, it's it's interesting, and they're kind of the facts, but a massive European country. While you would expect them not to be big into gaming, of course they are. And, absolutely great. I mean, I think we've all been on a holiday and you always go into the arcade and play a game there because you hope to find something else.
You know, it is. I've been to Spain a few times and I've never once set foot in a Spanish arcade yet.
Well, I tell you what's interesting was I did take my daughter on holiday to Spain, it's Benidorm, but as part of their all-inclusive, they had a game room.
Right. Oh yes. The hotel. I was literally in Benidorm back in August, and they had a games room. They had an alien Firestorm cabinet, and one of the guns was broken.
This wasn't. This was.
I was very annoyed.
This was like a PlayStation 5 room.
Oh, right.
They all linked up in that.
With driving wheels, cabinets, and all that. You paid to go into it, but it was super high tech. And they had all modern stuff, and you paid whatever it was euros to go in and play. But it was all dark, and it was really good. Like not what I used to remember when I went on holiday, and you'd go in there, there'd be a pool table with a teddy grabber.
That's exactly. You've been to the hotel I went to.
But no, honestly, you had it as part of your all-inclusive, and it was a proper, like I say, it was all set with PlayStation 5s. And they had the Gran Turismo style stuff, because they know kids want to play that and play those kind of things, and it was that's entertainment for children. So enjoy.
So you don't even get that in the UK. We're well behind. We need to do one on the UK.
Oh, Christ, just the UK, there's plenty to talk about there. Some of the field stuff and all will be interesting. Christ.
Maybe we should do a singular video just on UK at some point. But let's hop back on the plane again, guys. We'll jump on to the next one.
Away we go.
China.
Well, the final stop, China. For Chun-Li, of course, right?
Why not?
China in itself, the largest gaming market. Now, I'm sure you said Japan was the largest gaming market. And I'm sure I said earlier USA had the largest.
I made a mistake there.
India's the biggest gaming market.
So basically, you're absolutely right. It's Japan, America, China.
Yeah. I think China is definitively, by the sounds of it, the largest gaming market. You have over 680 million gamers in China. I mean, I'm pretty sure China's the biggest population
might be
in the world.
So it'd be interesting to know the population, like percentage-wise.
It might, percentage-wise, it might not be as high, but the actual amount of gamers in China.
So as you're born, you've got a little mobile phone forced into your hand as you
pretty
pop
much,
out.
right? Yeah. The Chinese gaming industry in itself is worth like tens of billions of dollars. It's pretty much one of the largest markets on earth. It's like
it's frightening,
insane how big that market is. One of the main things, though,
still worth less than Nintendo.
Right. Well, yeah.
Which is frightening.
One of the biggest things, and I'm sure our audience listening here would have probably, if you know anything about China and their history of gaming, they had a console ban from the year 2000 to the year 2015. And the reason why they had this ban was because they were worried that it was having an issue with the health of the children.
So does that mean that they missed the PS2 completely then?
They
the GameCube?
And everything in between,
and the PS3 and the 360?
Yeah, this is why I found what we've done really interesting. Like, you know, what Glenn's done, what you've done, really interesting because I've never looked. And I didn't know that. I know there's censorship in China. Of course I do.
Yeah, heavy censorship.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've worked with Chinese people myself, so I understand there's censorship. But I did not know that there was no gaming. I mean...
Oh, no. There wasn't no gaming.
Ah, okay.
Gaming consoles were banned between 2000 and 2015. I'm glad you said that, Jamie. Because actually what happened was... You had the rise of mobile phone gaming and the free-to-play market especially. So, you know, you'll have heard of Genshin Impact, surely. One of the best free mobile phone games, like a Zelda type thing.
Okay.
That was born because of this, essentially. What happened was China just said, well, fuck you, console makers. We're just going to do our own thing. So you had your typical rise of PC and online gaming, but then you had this mobile gaming, free to play especially, that just rose at the time, and you ended up with like 80 to 90% of people playing games on mobile phones.
I was going to make a really stupid comment then because I actually know the answer, but if you had a PC, you still couldn't play PC games because it would have been restricted.
No. It was the actual consoles themselves.
If you had a PC though, there are things that are restricted. So therefore, you couldn't have logged into World of Warcraft, for instance.
Yeah, there's restrictions on certain things.
Yeah. So it had to be the mobile gaming. Is what you're saying.
Mobile gaming was the predominant form. So again, 90%. But PC gaming did still have a small niche, 10%.
I wonder why. Do you know what it is? I can understand the mobile games because you've got a very different market and a different style of game, regardless. But when it comes to PC gaming, even in 2000, there would have been a lot of similar crossover between the consoles and the computer. So I don't understand why you would ban the consoles and not just ban PCs or PC gaming and ban the games.
I think because the average people looked at it and thought
the younger age,
consoles would be on younger age. PC would be like adults. I mean, you play we're talking League of Legends and Crossfire.
But what they'll be doing is then though,
the major games in China on PC.
Say you wanted to play Half-Life on your Did it come out on Dreamcast or was it cancelled on Dreamcast?
It came out, but not officially. It was completed though.
We'll use.
I finished it. It's good.
No, Daikatana, there's a classic. Like, came out on PC and N64, whatever. Like, but so you would be able to play a game on the. If you couldn't play the game on the console, then you'd just play it equivalent on the PC anyway. So it would push kids who couldn't play on the console going, Dad, I want to play on your PC.
But that, again, as someone mentioned earlier, or one of us mentioned earlier, that is how you look at it through the lens of us. In China, it might not be that way. It might be absolutely no chance.
I also think that if you're online gaming, it would be like locked. Very much like being on a network at work.
People from
China.
China.
Play with people in China.
Yeah.
But going back to what you've just said, though, but to me, it looks like there clearly was. You know, if like PC and mobile gaming boomed during that period, then
PC gaming got a small slice of the pie, as in like 10%. Mobile gaming 90%, but mainly because of the free to play stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I hate that stuff personally. It's like
But it's still an escape.
It is.
I go back to what I always say gaming is.
I must say I hate mobile gaming, but I hate the like free to play. I hate that like play 2 levels and get an advert and that's 60 seconds.
Yeah, I agree. But like, if they did not have anything else, we've all played games to escape and enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, and they had that,
and that's the only chance they had.
Yeah, so. and that chance was born through the fact that they didn't have the consoles. However, I think it wouldn't have mattered because, again, coming back to the homogenization thing that we've already mentioned, they probably would have ended up that way anyway because we've seen most markets have a very high dominance with mobile gaming anyway. So it probably would have got there eventually anyway.
But have you seen, even now, I mean, I've mentioned at least twice, but the pattern among all 8 countries that we've mentioned is always comes back to the same few little things.
Yeah.
PC and online mobile gaming and that.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. And esports, you know, so...
But
the growth is there. That's for sure.
Oh, massively, yeah.
So 2015, China allowed consoles to be sold again. We know the Xbox. I know myself. The Xbox was the first thing that was sold in China after the ban because Microsoft couldn't wait to get in there and try and break the market. They failed.
Okay. I was going to say.
Can you guess which system is the predominant console in China?
The Wii.
No. Although that would be pretty cool.
We see, there's only 3.
PlayStation 5.
No.
So there's only 3 really. There's PlayStation.
I thought it was going to be an old console or something.
And then there's obviously Nintendo, but
The Nintendo what?
Switch.
Switch 2.
Wrong. Yes, correct.
Switch.
Jamie, Switch. So the Nintendo Switch is still the dominant platform in China, not the Switch 2. Maybe it's probably too expensive as well.
It's too new as well.
But yeah, so the Nintendo Switch is the dominant platform as we talk. Sorry, out of the consoles in China right now. So obviously since 2015, that's been when did the Switch come out? It probably was not far off that.
Do you know what I find interesting about that? Is, as I spoke about earlier, Nintendo are entrenched in Japan.
Yeah.
So you look at Pokemon, you look at anime, you look at all of that stuff, and I'm surprised that that is not allowed. That's a really, really the wrong word, and I apologise. But the way in which Nintendo market their games and the graphics on their games, they show you a Japanese way, and maybe that works across the continent. Perhaps that's absolutely right.
There'll be more in common with other Asian countries, I think, than there will be with the Western side of it.
Yeah.
We look at, I mean, me personally, I look at Japanese art, not just gaming art, but Japanese art in general, you know, and just see a certain beauty in it that we don't have this, like Western people don't have the same, not necessarily just style, but don't have the same appreciation.
Yeah.
But, and I think there's even in a lot, and I'm not pigeonholing all Asian countries into one area like China, Japan, Thailand, and all, you know. But there's definitely some overlap in just their cultures in general. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I love anime.
Some
food
overlaps,
and that, you know. It just
I love anime. I love the art, the anime art. I like all of, you know. It's I'd say you know.
I think it's the same as like we would say, like, you know, we might have more in common with other European countries, even though we'll still have many big differences, but you've got more in common.
Yeah, but I always more had a fascination with that. But Mario's a good example, right? Mario was created to not look.
Yeah, he was
Asian.
Yeah, you're right. It was aimed at Western markets.
He's a Brooklyn plumber.
Yeah.
So, it's as simple as that.
And he's Captain Lou Albano while he is in the series back in the 80s. Not
anyway, yeah, so they're diverse massively there. But yeah, it's interesting that the one thing they allowed was that.
Yeah, well, it was they allowed all consoles in from 2015.
But that was more
popular.
But
I think the population of China, the ones who wanted a console anyway, gravitated straight away to the Switch. Which, to be fair, I think I would too.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe Sony is a close second, but if you wanted something for your family, you'd go to Nintendo.
Could you imagine being banned from playing computers for the best part of 10 years?
15 years.
So you can't play computers for 15 years, and someone said, "What do you want to play?" What would you pick?
But bear in mind, it wasn't like that. It was a ban on consoles coming into the country, but it was like you weren't allowed to own a Nintendo for 15 years or a Sony PlayStation.
They'd have been kind of strict and all. So, I mean, I reckon you would have got locked up with that if you got caught with a console.
Honest question,
massive fines, at least.
So it's like,
what would you want to play?
Yeah, suddenly it'd be like, well, Nintendo. You know, it's like it's the colourful one. It's the one that Mario's on their app. They were able. The worst part of it is it's like they had this and then it got taken away. So you know they'll have had the N64, they'll have had the SNES.
Wow.
It's like, and then it just got taken away in the year 2000.
But we're there though. Let's have a think. One second though. So when you say it got took. When you say
it was like, banned, there was no longer allowed to be any sales of consoles.
Would we send you know, the Chinese police would literally take these consoles and put them in a cushion like we'll do with machetes?
It wouldn't have been that, but they just weren't allowed to sell them anymore in China.
Right, so you couldn't get anybody who had them. Like if you had your N64, your PS1, you're stuck with that until the thing dies and you're not getting a new one.
Yeah, because you're not getting.
Therefore, though, like so many other countries we discussed, they almost stayed stuck in time. Playing the games they already had, and you would have then gone. Have you played Glass Corps? Have you played this? Have you played Zelda? You probably swapped them amongst each other.
What's super impressive though is considering it's only been really back up and running for the big players since 2015. China has got Tencent. I mean, we've heard of Tencent, right? They're involved in everything. They've got fingers in every pie. They've got fingers in bloody Epic Games and that. They're everywhere.
Activision,
and you've heard of Honor of Kings, the mobile game.
I know what that is. Yeah.
That was Tencent, right? So these are pretty much one of the biggest players in the market. And I personally don't know how long they've been going, but considering that console gaming has only been alive for 10 years again in China, that's a pretty bloody good dominance in that small amount of time.
Yeah, I think they are very switched on how to get involved in markets. And, you know, when we speak about some other countries who, I mean, I think Thailand, you know, they've invested in esports. They know it's the right way to go. And I think China is a steroids example of where's the world going.
Yeah.
I need to be part of that.
Well, speaking of esports, China, absolute global esport powerhouse. You know, World Championships, League of Legends, Dota 2, PUBG Mobile, again, because of the heavy mobile influence and free to play.
Do you not think
they're teaching in universities esports and giving you a degree in esports management?
Do you know what it is, right? I actually don't disagree, because at the end of the day, since obviously it's a way of making money and even like a form of employment, really, then I'd say, well,
so if you can make a living just from employment, Glenn. The pro esport gamers have celebrity status.
I know this. I know I've said it's been gone for 2 decades, 15 years at least.
So my brother is older than me. His son was basically a pro gamer for what's the shooter game?
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, he played for Ireland in tournaments when he got taken away on the plane to do that.
Right.
My brother didn't understand it at all.
Aye.
Didn't see it as a job. Didn't really get it. and
That doesn't surprise us at all.
because I mean, I'm 48.
generation
48
thing.
I did say to him, I said he does understand this stuff.
Yeah.
Then it's weird.
That's exactly the views that Dad would.
I spoke to him about it, but he would actually sit there with not even playing the game and move his hand in the way the gun would recoil.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of level, but he was obviously really good at that. And you're right, that is a job.
Still be healthy as OnlyFans.
Yeah, Jesus. OnlyFans is where you go when you're not very good at gaming anymore.
But have you seen like some of the... You try and get a ticket to an e-sport final in whatever part of the world it is, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I know.
Almost impossible. Like going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've seen the money involved though now, that's what I'm saying. If you could make a career out of it and a living, it's like, well, then I don't have a problem with that person. I'd be saying, well, look, you're good at something, you're making money, and you say you had a family, say you had 2 kids and a house and a wife, and that, but you're say a middle-aged man, 35, 40.
Basically, I think you're bitter.
Hey?
I think you're bitter.
Well, I didn't.
Because...
Bitter. Bitter's a counter to golden axe.
No. You're bitter because you could have made a career from...
Playing golden axe?
No, that's about 3 things. By playing Double Dragon with the back elbow.
Right.
And also, was it Counter-Strike or Countdown? What was the one you boys used to play?
Crackdown.
You boys could have made a career out of that.
Well, we're still mates.
You could have been on stage doing that.
Which is going to win. Double Dragon.
You could have made a fortune.
Let's finish. We've done some of the highlights, I think, of China. I think what we've said so far has been pretty positive, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially about how they just evolved.
We're there, what was that, 15 years of no consoles?
But how they managed to just evolve and do their own thing, that was fantastic.
I think you would have to.
But I've got a few negative things to say as well, and that is the censorship. This is pretty bad crack. I mean, every game has to go through government censorship before they're allowed to legally release it. Anything with gambling, ghosts, right? Ghosts.
Well, no, that makes sense. Again, a cultural thing with spirits and stuff.
You're telling me that Luigi's Mansion's never been released?
There'd be fucking no chance. Political sensitivity, anything like that, got no chance.
Yeah.
Absolutely no chance.
Next week, North Korea.
So Halloween must be pretty shit, although they won't celebrate it.
It'll be different anyway, won't it?
Yeah.
We'll not be walking out with turnips and that.
I'm still looking at your Pac-Man concert.
Oh, Pac-Man's fucked. Anything under 18? Under 18s face gaming curfews. They literally, it's like, you've got no children, you're young and old now, older. But I'll set limits for Logan and Ellie's screen time. This is all the way up to 18 and it's enforced by law.
You turn off their Wi-Fi?
No, I don't do that. How's Logan going to sort himself out if I turn his Wi-Fi off?
I was going to say, basically, you can go into your router and turn off his Wi-Fi at certain times. Yeah.
But no, there's a legal requirement to limit how much time
He's going to hate what you
under
said
18s. He would never know. He wouldn't watch this. How long under 18s play. So you're legally enforced to restrict the time.
This is like us as kids on a grand scheme.
It is with Dad.
Jesus.
Yeah, we used to see. You can have an hour on your Nintendo. Oh no,
they didn't know what it was. They didn't know what
on your Commodore, even though it was a Mega Drive.
Probably on your telly.
It's interesting though, because even now though, you tell your kids that goes off now. Yeah, all right, it's gone off. How many times did you sit underneath your cover with your Game Boy?
We did better than that, mate.
Oh, well, yeah. Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Do you want to tell them what
we all did. Hold on, here we go. This is interesting, guys.
It's got nothing to do with China.
Every week we'll tell you a story that we probably shouldn't tell you. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dad's not going to know. We used to always... we'd put the NES on after hours, so we'd have school the next day, so after 10 o'clock, that's late, not 10 o'clock, 9 even, and we'd just be playing games. You'd usually be watching, and you'd be like, go on, Glenn, go on, kill those cougars and shit. and we'd have the telly on, but where the telly was, it was, so we'd look at the telly, and the door to the bedroom would be there, So every once in a while, because obviously you could see the blue light underneath,
bleeding underneath the door.
And my mum and this room where we're sitting in now was their bedroom at the time. So when they'd walk out of this room, he'd turn right and he'd look straight to see the light. And if he did, he'd open the door and he'd go, "What you doing?" And would just be nervous. I'd quickly snap the telly off. Bear in mind, it was an old telly from 1972.
So you used to like collapse it in the white dot was in the middle.
I used to have that broken tube where the tube telltale sign of a white dot in the middle for 5 full minutes. Solid white dot. And he'd just stand there looking at the two of us while we're just, I'd have a control me hand usually, and I was still. And he'd be just like, "What you doing?" "Oh, we're just standing there, just standing, chewing the fat."
My worst one was I didn't have the Nintendo Entertainment System. My mum's friend bought one for her son, but stupidly she stored it in my mum's house, and I knew where it was.
Right.
So I got that Nintendo, put it in my drawer, unpacked it very carefully, played Mario, then we put it all back in the bag, like the little bit of leads and everything, perfectly perfect.
Jeez.
Right, and then put it back on the shelf. But every night I would go and take that Nintendo and do that. And one day my mum come in and went, "What are you doing with that? That's someone else's present."
Well, you shouldn't have it.
It was worth it though. It was worth it, wasn't it?
I worked for a few nights.
The things we've done for gaming.
That's true, isn't it?
I know it was top my story from last time yet, like, but you know, you'll have to tune in and watch that episode if you haven't heard already. But right, guys,
China.
Should we wrap up China and wrap up the episode?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think we're done.
Glenn looks like he's going to fall asleep. He is old, so
Been a lot of fun. It's very different, but a lot of fun.
It's been good, but it's been tough because that was a long one.
I think it was digging out facts and that and all, and because of me personally, I don't know enough about the different countries until you look at it. It's keeping the information in to look, to post it.
I have to say, listeners, it was my idea, so blame me for it.
If you were one of the few who've answered on our survey from last time, then you'll have helped pick what next episode will be. So thank you for that. So we're not sure what we'll be doing next time, but we'll find out hopefully pretty soon. So as always, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye now.